Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
Caitlin Clark was getting smacked around all game. No calls, nothing. The refs just stood there like statues. Fans lost it, shouting, begging someone to step up. And guess who did? Sophie Cunningham. She wasn't about to let that slide.
Sheldon going coast to coast. And here's we got another.
That moment blew up everywhere. Sophie Cunningham didn't just clap back at JC Sheldon. She didn't just check the Connecticut Sun. She warned the whole WNBA, mess with Caitlin Clark, and you're going to deal with her.
Teams are going to have to think twice about messing with Caitlin Clark again.
Fans were fuming. Caitlin was getting hammered, and the refs, silent. No whistles, no justice. But finally, someone stepped up, someone fearless, someone who wasn't going to let it slide. Out of all that chaos, Sophie Cunningham rose up, and in that one moment, she didn't just protect Clark. She lit a fire that could flip the Fever's whole season. Sounds bold? Maybe. But Sophie just put the entire sports world on notice.
Like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this. Two Caitlin Clark teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom! Wow.
You can already feel the shift. Just 48 hours later, Sophie's name is blowing up. Clips everywhere, fans going crazy. And the vibe? It's different now. This isn't just the Fever versus the league anymore. It's Caitlin versus everybody. And Sophie? She's the fearless bodyguard standing in front of her. Here's the crazy part. That one moment might make Sophie a millionaire. No joke. The signs are already showing. But before we break it down, hit that like button, drop a boxing glove in the comments if you respect what Sophie did, and subscribe for more wild WNBA drama.
When they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates back.
Let's be real. That Fever vs. Sun game, it was a new low for the WNBA. People have complained about bad calls for years. Kelsey Plum was even in tears not long ago, saying she prays for better officiating. But what went down in that game made one thing crystal clear. It's open season on Caitlin Clark. And the refs? They're just letting it happen.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
Ooh, and Marina Mabry. I missed that one, Edona.
JC Sheldon didn't just foul anyone. She went straight at the face of the league. Then, in all the madness, Marina Mabry came flying in and straight up body-checked Caitlin to the floor. It felt like Carrington and Kennedy Carter had somehow respawned and teamed up for a dirty hit. And when the other angles came out, it was worse than anyone thought. Way worse.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabry. Boom! I mean, come on.
JC's swipe wasn't some sloppy mistake. It was straight up targeted. And Marina? She didn't just bump Caitlin, she launched her. In the NBA, that kind of hit gets flagged immediately. But in the W, just another day at the office. And honestly, it was kind of disappointing. Lexi did step in a little, but most of the Fever stayed quiet. Even Coach Stephanie White held back. Sure, she made up for it later at the mic, but in the heat of the moment, fans were begging her to go full Bobby Knight and toss a chair, which, let's be real, would have been legendary. Knight did coach Indiana after all, and for anyone about to call Caitlin soft, don't even start.
Made me think if this was LeBron in the NBA, think if this was Steph Curry in the NBA, do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected, just a common technical foul? That would never happen.
Just a basic tech? That's it? No way. This would never happen to Steph or LeBron without serious consequences. No chance. Even the commentators couldn't believe Marina wasn't ejected for that hit. And here's the crazy truth. Caitlin Clark means more to the WNBA right now than Steph or LeBron do to the NBA. That's not drama. That's facts. We already saw what happened when Caitlin missed just 5 games.
Even as good as that rating was, Caitlin Clark's good for about 1 million extra viewers.
The numbers didn't just drop. They collapsed. Fever games tanked by over 50%. The whole league's buzz flatlined. You'd think the WNBA would go into protect mode, bubble wrap Caitlin, give her the star calls, treat her like gold. But nope. This wasn't just a blown call. It was straight up disrespect to the league's biggest asset, a total embarrassment. And now, everyone's going off. Fans, analysts, even ex-players. This isn't just about bad officiating. It's about how the WNBA treats its biggest star.
I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement.
The Fever were rolling. Big lead. Caitlin had already dropped the moment of the night. That deep three and savage trash talk straight to the Suns bench. But something still felt off. Like the job wasn't done. The energy was tense. No closure. No message. Just silence hanging in the air. And then, Sophie stepped in.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
With the win locked in, Sophie made her move, dropped JC Sheldon with a hard foul, then backed it up like someone trained for this. Taekwondo mode, activated. It was a release. For Fever fans, for WNBA fans, for everyone who's sick of seeing Caitlin Clark get targeted with no justice. But this wasn't just about JC. This was weeks of cheap shots, weeks of refs turning their heads. Sophie wasn't just fouling, she was fighting back. For all of us. That hit, it was payback.
I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody, because it is, if you are watching any of these games, you are seeing that there is a disparity in the way that it's being officiated, and the Indiana Fever are held to a standard that no other team is held to.
And here's where things get really interesting, and why this goes way beyond just one hard foul. What happened against the Sun feels like a turning point for the league. Sure, maybe the WNBA takes a long, hard look at its officiating issues and finally cleans things up. Maybe, but the lack of consequences for this, a full-on face swipe followed by a body check on the league's biggest star, was a step too far.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be...
Two massive things came out of that game, and both are game changers. First, Caitlin Clark fans. They were already on edge. For over a year, they've been mocked, dismissed by the media, told they're not real basketball fans, even called awful names. And yet, they're the ones packing arenas and driving record-breaking views. But now, after watching Caitlin get smacked in the face and slammed to the floor with zero consequences, that frustration, it's turned into full-blown outrage.
Again, the league's been handed this miracle, this beacon of light, while it was down in some dungeon in the basement on life support, and it was never turned a profit, lost $40 million last year. They get handed this beacon of light, and all these players cannot stand her. They're jealous, the players union. It looks like the whole league.
There's a breaking point, and a lot of Caitlin Clark fans are already there. It's starting to feel like the league doesn't want to grow with her. And when fans feel that, everything changes. Now, they're rooting for two things. Caitlin to keep dominating, and the league to crash without her. Because if you're not going to protect her, promote her, or even admit what she's done for your success, then why should her fans care about anything else? It's a toxic cycle, one that's tearing the fan base in half, isolating the league's biggest star, and killing the WNBA's future. And then, there's this.
This is a petition to get Sophie Cunningham removed from the WNBA, where she displayed tonight was disgusting.
Now look, you might think this is just internet noise or a silly little petition.
Now sure, some people might say this is just internet noise or a dumb little petition. And yeah, we'll get to Sophie's savage clapback in a second, because it's gold. But first, let's talk about what's really happening. This isn't just trolls. Real parts of the fan base are spiraling. They're calling for Sophie to be banned from the league, begging the WNBA to move the All-Star game out of Indy, even shouting for full-on boycotts. And what makes it all even funnier? Just take a second and remember what things looked like a few months ago.
The anti-Clark fans, I am seeing them not only celebrate Kiari Afen in this situation, but say that Sophie Cunningham was at fault for what happened, and she got what she deserved.
Back in that preseason game against the Mystics, it was a whole different story. When Sophie Cunningham got dropped hard, the Clark haters said nothing. In fact, they defended Kiki Fane, the one who leveled her. Worse, some of the loudest voices online cheered it on, and even encouraged more of it.
They're seeing literal people, not threats of violence, but people encouraging violence against a player. And that's not on. That's not on for nothing. There are people literally out there encouraging violence against Sophie Cunningham. And these are the people that want to say another fan base is the worst fan base in the WNBA, and they're encouraging literal violence against players.
This is just my take, but it really feels like we have a league and a chunk of its fandom that cannot emotionally handle Caitlin Clark leading the way. And that doesn't just apply to her. It extends to anyone who supports her, plays with her, or defends her on the court. Just look back at what happened after the Sky game. When Angel Reese was fouled by Caitlin, the outrage immediately spilled over to the Fever players. Fans started attacking them too, questioning their toughness, their response, even their character, simply because they didn't retaliate the way some people expected. That's not just sports talk. That's something deeper. It's like being associated with Caitlin Clark in any way makes you a target. Again, it's Caitlin Clark and her teammates against the world.
The kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, it's on site when I see you. Those are actual threats.
And with all this tension boiling, it created the perfect storm. And Sophie Cunningham walked right into it. She didn't just back up Caitlin. She became exactly what fans have been begging for, the enforcer, the one who wasn't scared to step in, make a statement, and shake the league awake. That one moment, the flagrant, the viral clip, that raw fire, it's already turning Sophie into a star, not just in Indiana, not just with Fever fans, but across the entire sports world. Because in just 48 hours, everything flipped.
Guys, it's actually insane how viral this has already gone. There's so many NBA accounts who are tweeting it. I was getting ESPN notifications about it. Like, it is wild how much traction.
Sophie's move, it's everywhere. Social media, YouTube, TikTok, she's all anyone's talking about. And here's why that matters. Caitlin Clark's fan base isn't just big, it's a force. No other player in the league comes close. They don't just cheer, they organize, they post, they defend. And anyone who rides for Caitlin, they lift them up fast. But Sophie didn't just ride. She stood in front of the train and said, "Not today." She protected Caitlin in the heat of battle, right when fans were screaming for someone, anyone, to stand up. Now she's getting paid in attention, almost 600,000 new TikTok followers in just 2 days. That's not a bump. That's sponsors watching, agents dialing, and new fans everywhere calling her the WNBA's official bodyguard. And this is only the beginning.
Sophie Cunningham's jersey has sold out. I repeat, the Sophie Cunningham Fever jersey has sold out.
Her jersey, gone in hours. Fans who had no clue who she was a week ago are now riding hard for her. And that ridiculous petition to kick her out of the league, Sophie answered it with the perfect response.
Beat up by the enforcers. But Sophie Cunningham has responded to the petition by just retweeting a freaking post about her jersey being sold out. That is a response. That is quote tweeting her the petition. Like, that is the best way of going about it.
At the end of the day, attention and money tell the real story. And right now, it's loud and clear. Sophie Cunningham, once just a name in WNBA circles, has officially broken through as a Caitlin Clark fan favorite. Here's why that matters. Critics love to claim Caitlin's fans only care about her, not the Fever or the league. But they're wrong. These fans care deeply about the team, the people who protect her, and anyone who shows real loyalty. And no one showed that more than Sophie. She stepped in, took the hit, sent the message, put her body on the line to stand up for the face of the league. And fans, they're showing love, big time. This isn't just a short hype moment. Sophie just earned Clark fans for life. And when that bond locks in, look what happens. Kate Martin, barely played last year, outsold the MVP in jerseys. Why? Because she was Caitlin's college teammate. So now ask yourself, what do you think is about to happen with Sophie Cunningham after going full enforcer, taking a flagrant, and winning hearts? She's about to cash in big.
I wonder how much money Sophie Cunningham is going to make on endorsement deals this season, this summer. Like, I think Sophie Cunningham's endorsement deals are going to go into the millions, are going to be in the millions this year. I think they're going to be in the millions this year. Because if you are not only like good in front, like she's good in front of a camera, she is now known as the Caitlin Clark's enforcer, and like, it's something that matters. It's something that really, really matters.